want to challenge something we've all been told, that busy is the problem. That if we could just slow down, say no more often, empty our calendars, then we'd finally feel okay. But what if that's wrong? What if busy isn't your problem at all? What if the real issue is something much deeper? Kia ora and hello, welcome to the Living Life Well podcast. I'm Janine Lattimore, a well-being writer and coach providing information and inspiration to make daily health and happiness simple. We live in a culture that has a very complicated relationship with the word busy. On one hand, we wear it like a badge of honor. Being busy signals that we're important, productive, needed. On the other hand, the wellness world has spent the last decade telling us that busy is basically a modern disease, that we need to slow down, pause, and be present. And I think both of these perspectives are missing something crucial. Because in my experience, the problem is not really busyness. Most people who are exhausted, overwhelmed, and depleted are not struggling because their lives are too full. They're struggling because their lives are full of the wrong things. There's a profound difference between a life that is full and a life that is overloaded. And that difference has nothing to do with how much you're doing, and everything to do with whether what you're doing is in alignment with what truly matters to you. Here's what we're going to cover today. First, we're going to examine the word busy, because I think that when you look at what it actually means, you'll see that it has two completely different faces. And understanding that distinction is the foundation of everything else we'll talk about. Then we're going to get into the concept of alignment, what it actually means to live in alignment with your authentic self, because this term gets used a lot in personal development spaces, and I want to make it concrete and real and something you can actually work with. We'll talk about the difference between what I call soul desires and ego desires, and why knowing which one is driving you changes absolutely everything about how your day feels. Then I'm going to share 3 powerful questions that will help you get clear on your authentic self, your values, your strengths, and how your creativity wants to be expressed. Because without that self-knowledge, it's very hard to find your way to alignment. And we'll finish by talking about what I call balanced energy, the 2 factors that determine whether your full and active life feels nourishing or depleting. By the end of this episode, my hope is that you'll walk away not just with a new way of thinking about busyness, but with a real, practical sense of where to start making shifts in your own life. Let's get into it. The framing of busy in modern Western culture is interesting. In many areas of society, being busy is seen as admirable. It can almost be elevated to a virtue when it is seen as the opposite of being lazy. Busy is often associated with being productive and working hard. On the flip side of this, we have the modern personal development movement, which emphasizes pause and presence and has almost demonized being busy. I think that the concept of busy has 2 sides. And when I Googled the definition of the word busy, this was highlighted as the meaning was either being actively engaged or crowded with activity. On one side, we have the definition of busy as having too much to do and habitually overworking. And on the other side, we have the concept of busy as being actively engaged in doing something. So what makes the difference? What determines whether you are busy in a state of overwork and overwhelm or busy in a state of engagement and aliveness? The difference is whether or not what you are doing is in alignment with what is truly important to you. If you are busy and unhappy, overwhelmed, stressed, and exhausted, then the problem is probably not that you are busy. The problem is that you are unfulfilled. It is not a stuff problem. It is an alignment problem. Doing lots of stuff plus unbalanced, unaligned energy leads to stress, overwhelm, and exhaustion. Doing lots of stuff plus balanced, aligned energy leads to a rich and fulfilling life. I don't think that being busy in and of itself is a problem. Being busy and being stressed do not always go together. I am usually busy, but I phrase it in other ways because most of the time I'm living intentionally in alignment with my highest self. The words I use instead are to say that my life is full or rich. The paramount issue is, what is the energy engine underneath your work? What is driving you? Is it performing, trying to prove something, or fear of missing out, losing out, or being rejected? Or is it purposeful and creative engagement with life? What does it actually mean to be in alignment? The idea of being in alignment with your authentic self, in other words, having aligned energy, gets talked about a lot in personal development teachings, especially those with a spiritual aspect to them. But what does that actually mean? Alignment involves knowing and living your values, purpose, and higher self desires. Higher self desires are those that are connected to your soul rather than your ego. Ego desires are to do with how you appear, the image you portray. They are driven by urgency and doing things for other people, and are about performance, competition, and earning. Soul desires come from your inner knowing and feel open and expansive. Other terms for your highest self-desires are your passion or bliss. They are what you would do even if you didn't get paid. It's the person you love being and the things you love doing when no one is watching. Does living in alignment mean you just do what you want? I want to clarify that living in alignment with yourself does not mean that you only do the things that you want to do. Although I do invite you to notice any beliefs you have about not being allowed to do what you want. We grow up with a lot of unexamined, adopted beliefs about this that can limit how much we allow ourselves to have. And if you want to learn more about how to identify and shift your limiting beliefs, then there is a chapter on that in my book, 10 Steps to Happiness. Life also has responsibilities and curveballs for us to navigate. Alignment is not just about desire and preference. It is also about the perspective that we have when approaching all of life. Having a life philosophy that enables you to release resistance to challenge and to flow with all aspects of life experience enables you to be in alignment within almost any circumstance. This doesn't mean that you just passively accept everything that life throws at you. Being in alignment with yourself also gives you clarity about where and how to create meaningful boundaries for yourself. For me, it comes back to the idea that is expressed well in the Christian Serenity Prayer. Here is a simple non-religious form of that. Stay calm about the things you can't control. Have the courage to change the things you can, and be wise enough to know the difference. Sometimes alignment comes through what you choose to do, and sometimes it comes by how you frame your perspective of what you are required to do. Wisdom, which is also a form of alignment, guides you to know when to flow in acceptance and when to actively create what you want. Invest time to know yourself. There is a quote from the 13th century Persian poet Rumi that reads, "When I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of distress and anxiety. If I sit in my own place of patience, what I need flows to me and without any pain. From this, I understand that what I want also wants me, is looking for me and attracting me. There is a great secret in this for anyone who can grasp it." One surefire way to live an unfulfilled life is to be constantly in a rush, reacting to life. The key to fulfillment is to give yourself time and space to become clear on what your values, purpose, and highest desires are. Clear energy of thought, emotion, and action that is in alignment with your soul is powerful and attractive. 3 questions that reveal your authentic self. Here are 3 questions that will help you to come to know the key aspects of your authentic self. Number 1, what are your top 10 values? Think about what experiences you have had where you have felt high levels of joy, pride, or frustration. Things that give you a lot of joy or pride are connected directly to your values. Conditions that make you feel angry or frustrated indicate what your important boundaries are. In other words, what values have been denied or disrespected. I will put an image displaying a list of 36 common values in the show notes. This will give you some more ideas to identify your own values. Question number 2. What are your top 10 innate gifts and practice strengths? Fulfillment happens when you are moving in your strengths. This is not to say that challenge and learning are not purposeful too, but we feel our best when we are living from our strengths. What do you do that feels easy, or which you do well without a great deal of effort? What skills or characteristics do other people thank or compliment you for? What do you enjoy doing? Question number 3. How do you like to be creative? Creativity is the expression of our life force. It is not just about making art. Creativity can be expressed in many ways, such as through ideas, variation, movement, problem solving, gardening, cooking, exploring, and playing. Coming to know these aspects of yourself will help you to identify what is truly important to you, which is the aligned energy half of the equation of living a fulfilling life. The other half is having balanced energy. What is balanced energy? There are 2 aspects to having balanced energy, and balance is as important as alignment. The 2 aspects are capacity and creativity. Capacity means how resourced you are to do what you are doing. You can have a lot of capacity and be working from a place of unaligned energy, and you will probably still be okay. Conversely, if you are living in alignment with your authentic self, but work beyond your physical, mental, or emotional capacity, then you will experience stress and exhaustion. The second factor that needs to be balanced is creativity. You can be operating in alignment with your values and strengths and still stagnate and become unfulfilled if you are doing the same things day after day. Stagnation is the opposite of creation and occurs when there is an absence of movement and new energy. When you suppress or do not allow space for your creativity, then you begin to stagnate and stop growing, progressing, and developing. Creativity allows energy to move within you and around you and nourishes your mind and body. Balanced, aligned energy is where you are well-resourced physically, mentally, and emotionally, and creatively expressing your values, strengths, and desires. Different people need different levels of resources at different times and need to live with different levels of creativity to feel satisfied. So maybe the real question is, what allows your life force to flow most abundantly? The recipe for a rich and fulfilling life. Busyness itself is not the enemy. When what you are doing reflects your authentic values, strengths, and deeper desires, then a full and active life becomes a source of energy rather than a drain on it. The key is investing time in genuinely knowing yourself, what you value, where your gifts lie, and how your creativity wants to be expressed. Pair that self-knowledge with keeping your energy balanced in terms of personal capacity and creative variety, and busyness transforms from overwhelm into aliveness. The issue isn't how much you are doing, but how much of what you are doing is meaningful to you. Just one thing. This week's Just One Thing action point to help you turn information into transformation through implementation is to reflect on and record responses for the 3 questions that reveal your authentic self. So these are: number 1, what are your top 10 values? Number 2, what are your top 10 innate gifts and practice strengths? And number 3, how do you like to be creative? If you want to take this to the next level, you can get my ebook Mastering Change, which includes a reflection journal. This will guide you to deeper clarity about what is truly driving your current thoughts, feelings, and actions, and to identify meaningful change and give you the keys to successfully transform yourself and your life in the ways that you want. I will put the links to more information about my books in the show notes. Thanks for listening to this episode of Living Life Well. I love feedback. Let me know your thoughts about the episode or any questions that you may have about how to live your life with meaning and purpose. Wishing you a life lived fully and well. Araha nui, much love, and I look forward to connecting again on the next episode. Bye for now.